Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the daily live extra here throughout January to discuss the goings on at Everton Football Club. And Luca Dean's gone, obviously. Ned taunting us by putting him in a Villa shirt on the thumbnail.
Nice one.
Did you feel anything when you saw him in a Villa shirt?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. Just to quote Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I like Luca Dean. Great footballer. But, and it's rubbish that moment you see them with that other kid, and you just think that's it. There's no, because until he's gone, there's always that. Might just not actually.
I think that got dismissed.
But that did get dismissed. Well, it got to be honest, it got dismissed in December.
No, I think for a lot of people out there is that thing of like it might fall through. The manager might get sacked.
He put on a story, didn't he? Soon.
He might come to his. He might come to his senses and all this. Never happened. No, obviously it all went on last night, didn't it? With what he said on his Instagram, which was enraged obviously a lot of Everton fans because he didn't want to make. He doesn't want to make a war of words, but he sort of made a war of words, hasn't he?
Course, yeah.
He said, I'll just if you didn't know. Thank you for the 3.5 years in blue. From day one, the Evertonians have received me with a lot of warm feelings, and I am forever thankful for that. I have loved to be part of the Everton family. I've always worked hard to give it back to the fans on and off the pitch. I've loved the unity of the fans and players, not only Goodison on a match day, but also in everyday life. Only 1 year ago, I signed a new contract with the ambition of staying at this club for a long time, giving everything for the club, for the development and the project that I believed in, and the passionate fans. My dream was helping the club back where it belongs. Wearing captain armband in some matches also made me proud. Everything must come to an end. I just did not expect it to end this way. What has happened and some things that was said about me in the last month has made me very sad. But I will not enter into a war of words with anyone. I mean, you sort of have. The club doesn't deserve that. The fans don't deserve that. And to be honest, I don't feel that I deserve that. There have been so many good and decent people in and around Everton who want to the best for this club, and not only for themselves, and to them I can only say from my heart I wish you the best. Thank you to all the wonderful and proud and passionate true Evertonians. It's been an honour and a true pleasure to play for you, the fans, the people, because a club does not belong to a player or a manager, but to the fans. I will always carry you with me in my heart, wherever I go. Sometimes it only takes one person from outside to destroy a beautiful love affair. All the best to Everton and Evertonians. And it's that last line which has obviously got to so many people today and last night. Yeah. So obviously he has had a parting shot. And he's got, he hasn't really got his side of the story over. He's just basically said, hasn't he? He's just thanks and Everton basically tweeted out this morning that he'd left without wishing him well or anything, which is a bit. So yeah, I mean that's obviously for people who don't want Rafa Benitez and people who are really unhappy with the situation. That's obviously just going to inflame the situation, isn't it? And if he does play next week for Villa at Goodison, that's going to be a very interesting reception.
Well, he will play, won't
he? Well, he might stub his toe in the week or something.
Fingers crossed.
Don't know, do you? I mean, and obviously Gerrard will play him because he'll want that extra. Yeah, he'll want that. He'll want to get into it. But it's not great. As it just adds extra spice to it all.
It was always gonna. He was always going to say something. The managers have been speaking about him for 3 weeks and having digs at him in press conferences, hasn't he? Rightly or wrongly, but that's what's been going on. So obviously, he's never going to come out while he's at the football club, I don't imagine, and say something about the manager. But he was always gone the minute he left because he knew he was leaving. So it's nothing. It's not surprising that he's had said his piece, because if you were him, whether you're in the right or you're in the wrong, if someone's having 3 shots at you when it's your turn to speak, you're gonna have one back, aren't you? And that's kind of what's happened there.
And really, it's only the last line where he's really had a little dig back, isn't it? He's only, you know, most of it is just a thank you to the fans. It's only that last line, and he's wrote it in such a way that it does make it very heartfelt for a lot of people. And you know, just
clear as day.
Just to add to it, Bernard has obviously left a message on here saying, and a lot of Everton players also liked it as well, which always adds, obviously, whether it means anything, it always adds something. And Bernard says, perhaps not everyone understands what goes on behind the scenes. I love Everton, as you do too, but unfortunately there are people who don't want the same goal as most. I love you, bro, and I'll be rooting for you wherever you go. And again, that... I actually really like that statement, because it's not targeting Bernard, because it's not targeting Benitez because he never played for Benitez. It's targeting other stuff at the club, and some people will say that's not helpful, but players are allowed. You know, we always. It's funny because we always, I think, accuse players of not loving the club like we love the club, and obviously they don't love the club like we love the club. But it is interesting that he's come out and said that, and just added a little bit of weight to it, like, and obviously he's pre-Benitez, so
stuff goes on at clubs, doesn't it? We've seen Josh King's comments about Carlo Ancelotti, the way he was treated, you know, not dissimilar to the Dean thing, whereas he was just bombed out by Ancelotti. He said didn't even speak to him.
Yeah,
you know, and that's a coach that a lot of people love, but because it's Carlo, people will back that and go, wow, well,
yeah,
Carlo.
Yeah.
Where if that would have been Benitez, people would jump all over
Absolutely,
it.
Absolutely, been saying that all week,
being said, quite clearly, there's no you know, it's not harmonious behind the scenes at Everton.
No.
Which is the problem, isn't it? But
Which is the problem, isn't it?
From the top. We've said it a lot of times. It comes from the example set at the top. The problem is that the owner... See, I was thinking about this morning. What I find dead curious about the owner, right, is that he came on publicly and said he ignored the fans. Sorry, he listened to the fans when he didn't want David Moyes to come back.
Yeah.
But this time he ignored them because for Benitez, because he listened to them before. I don't remember. I know some people didn't want Moyes back.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Some mild people
banners.
mightn't have wanted Moyes back. But it was not the same level as didn't want Rafa Benitez and don't want him now. And yet he listened to the fans when 7 people on Twitter and Colin from Bootle in his bills were screaming about Moyes coming back. Not Colin Chong. Okay. I mean, it might have been Colin Chong. No, I think Colin. Colin would have been alright. He wouldn't have sat in his... And he certainly doesn't live in Bootle. Well, Bootle's a lovely place. He's a... You know, it's mad to say you listen to them then, and when it's amplified by about 100 million times, the dislike for Benitez. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a weird one, because I look at it and I just think, this isn't all Rafa Benitez's fault either, by the way. No. This club has been on a downward spiral since Moshiri took over, to be honest, and before then. Probably since Moyes left, if we're being absolutely honest.
Since Moore's left.
You know, and yeah, if we're being really honest about winning stuff since John Moore's left.
A standard bearer.
The standard bearer, and that's once your standards drop, then it's very easy for the club to fall away. And I look at it now, and no matter what the manager does, it's too far gone. It's too far gone now. Because in the summer, there was a lot of, say, like, just let's, for ease, say 50% didn't want him, and 50% were a bit like, we tried everything else. Yeah. Why not? Do you know what I mean? Happens. But as that's gone on, that number's getting higher, and it's getting higher, and it's getting higher. He could have got away with it had we have won more football matches. People might have just gone, well, it's going all right. He's doing all right. I don't love him, but it's doing all right. But because everything else has been swirling as well, the club just feels like it's getting pulled in different ways. It's just getting ripped from different parts, and because what we've had in the past, you've always been able to jump behind someone in that era.
That's exactly what. No, that's exactly what I was going to say. What I would say is, I've seen people out there who were trying to be positive about it, and I get that. You know, I've seen. I think Dave Dave from the Bobblers is in the comments there, and I think I've seen him on Twitter trying to be positive about the situation, and that's really that's applaudable. But the problem is that the guy who's supposed to be getting them is trying to get the unity, can't get the unity. And this is what happened under David Moyes, was like when you had people going after Bill Kenwright, when you had the Blue Union and the marches and stuff, which I was part of, David Moyes was like the fellow you knew that once you got into the ground, it was gonna be all right. He was gonna he was the glue that kept the club together.
Yeah.
While it was Bill Kenwright in charge, and at the moment that's a major problem with the club, is that the manager is not the glue, so he becomes part of the problem. So you're looking at all the things that are happening with the club off the pitch, and it's scary. So you want that little bit of unity on the pitch, and it's just not there. And then you've got players coming out with things like that, going basically. I'm not saying he was saying it was sound till he came in, but it was like someone's. And don't get me wrong, this club, we've been saying for ages, this club needs a kick up the arse. It needs someone to come in and start upsetting the apple cart. And these players are not blameless. These players have played their part in it. Some of them anyway. I'm not saying Luca Dean has, but these players have played the part, and there needs to be. It's got to be like 75% behind the manager. There's got to be, and then all that quietens down the other people. Then problem is at the moment that's just not there, and like you said, it's gone the other way now. I felt after the Watford game that he'd lost. What happened in that last 10 minutes is where he lost people who were maybe thought didn't want him. That made them vocal then, as in saying, "I don't want you." So then. And then it's just escalated from there. That was the beginning, the real beginning of the downfall of the Watford game. And you think if we got the 3 points that day, you imagine it wouldn't have tumbled off it wouldn't have tumbled off the way it did. And the manager's just not gonna get the benefit of the doubt unless he starts winning games very, very quickly.
He's not gonna get the benefit of the doubt anyway. No.
Well, I don't think
you can always turn it round, because winning football games turns people round. Of course it does. Everton took 6 points in the next 2 games, and both are very winnable. Don't care what anyone says about Aston Villa. They're a very average Premier League football team, and they're very beatable. They've lost 9 games, so they're not very good themselves. We're not very good either, but at home with the crowd, Everton could quite easily, it's conceivable, could quite easily take 6 points out the next 2 games. And that would put them basically safe, or in the real, you'd be in with you would be safe. If Everton won the next 2 and had 25 points, I think you can start saying, right, we'll be all right now because we only need a couple more. You can forget about the worry of that. Then it's like, who can we catch higher up? But it's only ever going to be 2 games from crisis. And what we spoke about, even under Marco Silva, that he was always 2 games away from a crisis, wasn't he? And it's like, who is the manager who... Ancelotti got away with it last year, let's be honest, because there was no crowd. But then again, we probably wouldn't have won as many away games. We probably would have won more home games. So it's one of them, isn't it? But people were disgruntled under Ancelotti. Football was terrible. We won 5 games from the 20th of December till May the 15th. 5, which is disgusting. Everton should be much better than what they've been, than what they're showing, even with this set of plays, even with this manager. But whenever we think we're trying to get some momentum, something kicks us up the arse, and it's got to start. I don't know how. I haven't got the answers. I don't know how it stops, because I don't know. I don't know. What, we won 8 games, sorry, not 5. Just thinking that this year, the calendar year, when Benitez won 5 and he won 8. But it's got to stop somewhere, but I don't know how it stops. Right? I honestly don't know how it stops, because if people can't get behind the manager, then we're not going to create that unity that we probably need to move forward. The owner's disappeared. Yeah. I don't know. No. We just seem like we're in a mess.
Well, they've done this is the problem, isn't it? Is that the Moshiri's gone missing. Bill Kenwright goes missing. Denise Barrett Baxendale, I don't really think it's her job to be the face. So, and then it all comes down on the manager, and then it's all on the manager then.
And people don't want to listen to what he says.
Yeah, people don't want to listen, don't want to see him. So
that's the problem.
you feel like you're shouting into the abyss, really. And it's not good enough. I keep saying the standards of this club have just dropped completely off a cliff. But that comes from the club, and that's like we keep on saying. That's what you do. That's what you strive for every day. What are your standards? Where do you want to get to? How hard are you prepared to get to those places? Seeing last night, I think Chelsea got to their 20th cup final of this century, and you just think, okay, they got their money, and it was a different era, but they strive. From day one under Abramovich, they've gone for it. They've strived to be the biggest and the best, not only in this country but abroad. And if you don't, money's one thing, but it's what you want. It's where you want to be. It's how you achieve that. It's how you. We don't never look like a club who's going to do that. Of course, the stadium is huge towards that, and I appreciate that.
It's a launching pad, but if you haven't got the bits in place, it's not going to mean you're not going to launch very far. Are you? Chelsea, with all due respect to them, with Chelsea, they were a club that they'd done nothing, really. Do you know what I mean? And then Abramovich came in, and they were a cup side, weren't they? But they didn't really do anything. And then Abramovich come in and strived to be the best and built them, and now they're a huge football club in world football because he made sure that he got the right people in and that the standards were there to win, and he had to win. They had to win. And Everton just haven't done it like that.
No.
Everton could have done it like that. When Moshiri come in, if Everton would have put a proper plan in place, got the right people in place, we could be in a totally different universe now. 6 years later with the money he spent. We should be one of the teams people are going, they're defo in the running for Champions League, defo. We should be. There's no question about it, and yet we haven't. We've pissed it up the wall. We've made bad decision after bad decision, whether that be the manager, whether that be players. We've never stuck with anything. We've not tried to grow commercially the way we should. We've never been brash and bold enough to do things, and it is getting a bit Groundhog Day for me and you because we just seem to be saying the same things all the time.
Yep.
And it shouldn't be like that. This league isn't very good. It shouldn't be difficult to get into Europe year after year, and yet Everton make it look like it's impossible, and other teams come along and just skate into it by just being organised. West Ham get organised. Oh, all of a sudden we're not losing games. Like, get someone in on loan. Oh, we've won a few games. Oh, we're in Europe now. We'll build.
Well, I look at Wolves.
And doing well.
I look at Wolves this season.
Did it?
Very average team. Oh, manager leaves. New manager comes in from outside. Never managed in the Premier League. Okay, took them a couple of games and a couple of getting the strikers in or getting the strikers back, and suddenly they look like a very competitive team.
Strong.
And that's all they are, a very competitive team. They'll finish somewhere between 10th and 7th, I imagine, because they're just a competitive team.
It's not difficult.
They stay in games. They're organised at the back. There's also no drama. There's no drama. There's no, ever since they came up into the Premier League, they've had no drama. They've just brought good players in, and they fit the system. They get on with it. The fans seem to, are all on board, and that's that. How does a club like that do that? And we can't, with all the advantages we've had in the last 5 or 6 years. Well, Leicester, come up, win the league.
Win the FA Cup, playing the Champions League, playing Europe. It just drives me mad because it isn't difficult to get into Europe in this league. It really isn't. There's 3 good teams in the Premier League, and then you've got teams like United who should be better, who I think are probably the 4th, then Arsenal and Tottenham who were decent but they're nothing special. West Ham decent but nothing special, and I'm just saying that's what they are.
Yeah.
But they're better than we are, but that's what they are, because they're able to. It's just nothing's really changed. It was us under Moyes. It was us. We were a strong team that finished
But look
between
at West Ham
5th and 8th every year.
But look at West Ham 18 months ago.
That's
where we are now.
Yeah.
And it took Moyes to go in and get hold of it and just turn it round. Most of he's added players, but most of the same players who were there are the same ones there now. He's added to it, obviously.
Know what I was surprised to learn with Brighton is that Potter had 8 were already there who plays in his team now when he went. So we're not really done. I know he's not. People could say, yes, but Brighton, look what he's. But they've always stayed up. They don't spend loads of money, and they've developed players. If you get a core of players and you calm the noise down, then it's not hard. Like I said, it was us under Moyes. We had no money. We were organised, and every year we'd be between 5th and 8th most years. And it wasn't difficult to do. And yet we seem to have got the money, and where you should have built on top of the foundations, we didn't. We started trying to do totally different stuff. And we've come to the stage now where we've got no idea what we're doing. And Rafa Benitez might be a person who might be able to clear away a lot of that crap and eventually get you on into that position where you are that team. But I just don't know how it's going to be backed enough for it to create momentum. I think at Newcastle, with a much worse team, he was able to calm the noise down because he had no baggage, no issues, and they wanted something, didn't he? And he clung to him, and he brought them up, so they had momentum then. It was about staying up then, which they did. He's not going to get that here.
No.
And it is, don't get me wrong, this job is huge. I think it's a hugely difficult job now, this job. Because every year that goes by, we get less impatient. But it's like having that rope on each year. It's getting smaller and smaller. It's getting your opportunity of making mistakes and being able to recover from them get tighter and tighter and tighter. The amount of managers we've had tells you that, because the fans don't like it. But that's the thing about it, is it's what makes this situation mad, is that the managers who've all gone before have all been sacked for far less. And yet it looks like they're doubling down on Rafa Benitez. So he's got I guess the only way out of this, what we're feeling right now, is for him to win some football matches, and that's the challenge, isn't it? It's not going to help when players are leaving and having, because all this is going to do is, for anyone who was undecided, make them go. Well, for everyone who's against it, make them even more irate. So straight away, we've already had banners at the last few games for the manager to go. God help us if we lose on Saturday, because that's a 6-point thing. They've lost again last night. That's a massive game now for Everton. Everton were to lose on Saturday. Not only would I worry about the club, I'd be saying I don't know how the manager can stay. So he's going to have to get 2 big results in the next 2 games. And he may well do that. We're getting players back. We've got new players in there as well. The Luca Dean distraction's gone now. Rightly or wrongly, we move on from that. And that's not, listen, there's 2 sides to every story. We do have to bear that in mind. I'd have preferred Luca Dean just to get his head down and say to the manager, I'll play. Because obviously I've seen Andros Townsend come out with something yesterday, was it, or the day before, saying, well, it's no surprise, me, Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon have all worked hard, and the manager, if you prepare to work hard, the manager makes you better. Thinly veiled digs at people in the squad who don't want to work hard. If Luca Dean was still going to go, that's fine, but I'd have preferred him to have been available for every game, and we know that through different channels he made himself unavailable for some games. So there is 2 sides, but if he feels someone's come in and upset it for no reason, then he's going to have a say, rightly so. And other players are going to have their say. But the Bernard one's dead interesting, because like you say, he never played under. But then he had that with Carlo. He fell out with Carlo, didn't like Carlo and the way he treated players. So I think Carlo, if he liked you, you were sound. But if he didn't like you, he just cut you dead. Which Josh King said, didn't he? Josh King said he spoke 3 words to him in 6 months. So I wouldn't call that great management either, would you?
No.
So it is what it is. We're going to have to move on. We've got big games coming up. Sean says, all right, lads, boss these daily shows. All right, Sean, hope you're good, mate. GM says, that's no good, is it? You should just shut up, be professional and move on. Gavin says, before Dean's transfer, though, 90% of the fans were saying he's being crap. I don't know whether it was 90%, but a lot of people did question his form. But I don't know. Blue Cheesy, West Ham fan, says, yeah, huge club, you've been fed lies. It's like GSB for us. You won't go down from a West Ham fan. Nice one, mate. All the best. Keep it going. I mean, you're not in charge of the team, so you can't keep it going. But West Ham are flying. Another good win last night. He's doing well, isn't he, Bowen?
Yeah.
A player Everton when he was at Hull.
Yeah.
And you were looking, thinking,
yeah,
could he do it? I mean, he was getting like 20-odd goals in the Championship. West Ham have took him and he's been absolutely...
Yeah, you know, young up-and-coming player, you know, scoring goals in Championship. You know, players we should have been going after, but we didn't. We were going after players with noise.
Yeah, there is that. One with all the
bells and whistles.
All the bells and whistles on.
Instead of people that maybe you know what, some that maybe you just have to work a little bit hard with in the team, get them going a little bit. Might take a little bit of time, but if you you know,
yeah, it is. It's gonna be. It's an interesting period now. I think that we're going into.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, Saturday's huge. Having Dombach is huge. Obviously, we've seen the Charles and Amina in training again yesterday, which is good.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they'll be in contention for a place on the bench. I doubt it, but you never know. We'll just have to see. Obviously, with Michalenko and Patterson have had another week's training. It's the thing though with Everton, isn't it? For us right now, I think the biggest thing for us is to just stop conceding stupid goals, isn't it? That's the first thing. If you can just get back to being difficult to beat, difficult to break down.
If we don't concede the goal on Saturday, we'll win.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we'll get chances in the game. Because they're terrible.
I'm pretty sure we'll score on Saturday, so if we don't concede, we'll win. And you could say that for probably about 40% of the games in the Premier League. You score. If you score, but if you stop, if you stop the opposition from scoring, we have got the firepower to win those games without a problem.
But that's what a lot of man. I'm not being funny. If Allardyce came in now, and I'm not asking for him back. If Allardyce came in now, Everton would finish in the top 10.
Yeah,
absolute guarantee. Guarantee.
Because the first thing you do even higher. This is literally what's the most shocking thing about Benitez is. Our problem is we can't stop conceding goals. That's our biggest problem. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. That's our biggest problem. We stopped conceding goals. We'd be fine.
Allardyce's first 5 games or something, we let 1 goal in or something, didn't we? Swansea scored, I think, or first 4.
And even like when we went to Anfield and we went 1-0 down, we worked our bollocks off not to concede another for that one chance.
Yeah, and we got
that one chance. Whereas now against Palace, against Brighton, conceding the second goal through a set piece, killed us in both games.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed us. And it nearly happened on Saturday against Hull. Bar a good save from Begovic, nearly went 2-0 down. It's about staying in games, cutting the mistakes out and staying in games. And as I said, if we could stop conceding just dead normal goals, that shouldn't be happening. We'd be fine. We'd be fine because I just think the other end of the pitch we've got enough talent.
It's just so frustrating. Stuart says I'd like to see him feign an injury and going to Disneyland Paris on the Dean. I'm sure at some stage he will. Carl says how long before people start crying for the manager to be sacked again following Dean's comments, and then does a boring emoji. Teddy says why wouldn't you want him sacked though? Robert Oldfield said, well, we've addressed that Bernard, haven't we? Stuart says I'm not bothered Dean left. I do, however, still wear a black armband for Alicia Lehman. Okay. Matthew
she was the real one that got away to Villa.
Deal. Went to Villa.
Them shorts probably about the same size as the armband.
They wear small shorts, to be fair. Matthew Barry said, afternoon lads, hope you're well. Trying to put Dean in the past and concentrate on getting behind Michalenko. 1 player out and potentially getting 4 players in is a very good window. That's a good way to look at it, Matthew. Definitely. Dave Witch says, I hope Dean, politics aside, is the start of a new approach. Sell at the right time and reinvest in young, hungry players on the up. We'll link with a few now in the Championship. Any that you'd fancy personally that stand out. I like Lloyd Kelly. I know he's been linked with Everton, but I talked about him last year. Left side, the defender. He looks good. It's difficult with the Championship. I think I don't watch enough of it to be able to say, oh, he's good. Derby, Rooney's put a couple of young lads in, and they're supposed to be absolutely flying.
I like that young Brazilian, Frei Bentos.
Argentinian, surely.
No,
South American. You'd have got away with it.
Brazilian.
Okay.
Yeah, Frei Bentos.
Did you see? Have you seen that young Brazilian? Seriously, Hendrick, who's 15. Oh my God. I think Chelsea are all over him, but he's incredible.
No laws against that.
15, mate. He's unbelievable. I'll show I've got a couple of those goals. Incredible. But Chelsea are looking at him. He looks like he's going to be top.
You go to Chelsea, get loaned out.
Yeah, there's no point. Well, we'll get him on loan. We'll get him on loan for 3 years. He'll do all right. Dave also says, I think we're lost and struggling for identity. I took my emotions away from the Dean leaving, thinking it was good business. That said, I don't have any emotions in 95% of the squad.
Do you know what, Dave? I woke up today, seen the picture. Nothing.
It's just like...
And that's the problem. I have nothing.
No, it is. I think the other thing, though, as well, is we've known he's been going since...
No, I know, but...
weeks, but even so, yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
I feel nothing. And that's the worst thing.
Weird,
I feel nothing.
No, I'm like that. I look at it and just go, our manager, really... If you were seeing something on the pitch, I'd be more inclined to... Because like I said before, a lot of what he says are kind of the things we've been asking for. We want to see from our manager. But it means nothing when you see them walk out on the pitch and they're all over the place. It looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. That's terrifying to me. If you could see something, if it was like we're dead tight and we're just not scoring goals, you could then go, well, he needs to put
Don's coming back and we'll be all right.
You know, we're all right. We've had 7 0-0s on the run, but we're not conceding goals. You know what I mean? But you're looking at it going, I think I said to you, we've had 1 clean sheet since the Spurs game, or since bloody that Norwich win, something like that. It's something ridiculous. And I think it was the Spurs game. Something like that. The only clean sheet we've had, and you're like,
do you know
how?
Do you know Norwich have picked up 4 more points than we have since we played them?
Have they? Yeah. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Absolutely embarrassing. He's run out of excuses. The excuses are gone. We've played 18 games now. The excuses are there, and I was right behind them with the excuses. It was like, we have got no players, but as it goes on, you've got the whole point of you managing a team is you come up with solutions to the problems you're getting. That's what a manager is. You don't play the game, so it's on the player. Every time they pull on that shirt, it's on them. But what your job is to do is to come up with a way that you can play, and then in the game, if they're not seeing it, you tell them. Yeah. And yet, all I'm seeing is holes everywhere, and him watching and not 74 minutes against Hull to make a sub. Brighton, similar. Games going, where's the changes? Leave it. Oh yeah, I put Rondon on, that'll sort it. It's not good enough. He's got to step up massively, because at the moment he's hugely underperforming, more than any other manager we've had in recent times.
Oh, hugely.
He's got less points than Mike Walker, who a lot of people will say in the last 20 odd years, 26, 27, 28 is the worst Everton manager that's ever been, and he's got less points than that, and that is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Dave said, in terms of the manager, not my choice, don't want him, but suspect he'll be here till at least the summer, if not longer. Hope I'm wrong on that. Chad says, I'm glad Dean spoke out, not to turn us into a circus, but even if it being good business, it's sad to see a quality player treated like that. Terry says, afternoon chaps, 2 ways you can look at things. I can't blame a lot of people for choosing the view they have given results and performances since September. So the 2 ways you're looking at it are, A, Benitez has been briefed to flip the squad so much that it's leaner and make the money the club pays go a lot further, so he's grasping the nettle and moving on the biggest earners. Given that the big names haven't performed, then it's probably necessary. I agree with that. I reckon that has been some of his remit. Or B, and I know a lot of people will fall on this side of the fence, Benitez is a petty egomaniac who was immediately elbowed out the players with the most quality, James and Dean, to load us up with scrap players like Rondon and Townsend, because that's the image that all Copites have. Add that to the fact he's getting rid of staff and having slide digs in press conferences about Ancelotti, who is 10 times the manager he is, which is the closest one to reality.
Bit of both.
There's probably a bit of both in it. Yeah. I don't believe because he's a Copite, he's and he thinks that I'm not subscribing to that, but he is an egomaniac. We knew that before he came in, didn't we? But there's probably a bit of both there, Tess.
I think if you like that and things are not going to go your way, you're going to double down on it, aren't you?
Definitely.
You're not going to suddenly change. You're just going to double down on it. And I think in different circumstances that ethos might be a terrible thing, but I just think at this football club, under the circumstances, it all comes down to, like, you know, if you talk the talk, you've got to be able to walk the walk. You know, the points are awful. You know, they reflect a terrible situation, and that has to change really quickly. And really, he set himself his own goal. He said that the second half of the season was going to be better than the first half of the season. If that happens, then we'll be fine. But if it doesn't happen, then we're going to be in a right mess. And that's not going to be. If the club are holding out for that, then
we're in worse trouble.
Then we're in worse trouble, aren't we? Because ultimately, like, you get to the end of the season and you go, well, actually, I was wrong. Yeah, actually, were you wrong? Because we're in the championship now.
Yeah, nice one, mate.
Nice one. And then,
could be on the fans, sadly, this to make it even worse. To do something.
I think a week Saturday's a huge day for him. Really, there's an international break, and if things don't go right on that day and don't go right for Saturday, then I think that's the day to voice opinions, because there's a 2-week gap. We're at home.
18 games
we'll be playing a team like Villa, Gerrard, and the other thing, Dean, a club that sacked their manager. A club that sacked their they sacked their manager
because he lost 3 games on them.
And I think that's the day. I really do, because otherwise, going into that international break 2 weeks, I think that's the day for me anyway. That will be like I think
he really needs 6 points by then.
Yeah,
go into that international break with 25.
I think he does need 6 points.
You'll be all right.
And then that's, you know, you can look at the situation, go, 6 points. Yeah, we'll play Norwich away. We'll give them monkeys.
Yeah,
I couldn't care less.
We should win all of our.
Couldn't care less.
As I'm concerned, we should win all.
Villa
of our
at home. Villa at home should be winning.
Should be a battle, but a winnable.
No, we should. Well, the players should go out and battle and win the game. And if they don't, then I'm sorry, but the manager's going to have to go if that happens.
James McKenna said, lads, I seen an article the other day that said Roman Abramovich used to send Carlo Ancelotti a text message with question marks when they lost the game. Can't see any of our board ever doing that while he was here, and that's the difference.
They haven't even got his number.
They make the manager know who's in charge and never happy with coasting by. Teddy Sass says, hello lads, can't believe how many people on here defend this manager. Completely part of the problem for me. A lot of people creaming over the Dean deal of how good it is in general and financially. 30-year-old Chris Wood has just been sold for 25 million. Chris Wood, let's stop going overboard.
That was a buyout clause, though. Chris Wood's was a buyout clause. Like, that's
if Luca Dean would have carried on playing instead of down on tools a little bit, then we might have got more money for him. Could have still been available to go, and he could have left Villa now.
Yeah,
that's just the way it is, mate. It is what it is, isn't it? Where are you both on the manager exactly? Some comments you make seem to point you're against it, but then you defend them. Because Teddy, not going to sit here and create a narrative that he's got to be sacked every single day. It's not going to happen, mate. So if you want that, there'll be other channels. Go and watch them. It's dead simple. Where I'm on the manager is, I'm fed up of us sacking managers. I'm fed up of us being continually shite, and we keep doing it, and we keep sacking people because people moan and cry over any little thing. This fella, I've just said, he needs 6 points out the next 6. I didn't want him. He's not the biggest reason why Everton are crap. He's certainly playing his part. Don't get me wrong. He's certainly playing his part. If he got sacked today, would I be bothered? No, not really. It wouldn't bother me if he went. I'd just think, there we go again, there's another one. But I wouldn't think, oh, we've been a bit too hasty. That I really wouldn't. And with a couple of other managers, maybe you go, should we have hung on? With this fella, I'd have chased him weeks ago. But he's still here. So while he's still here, I'm going to try to get I'm going to be behind the team. That's where I am on this. Where are you on it?
Club's a mess. Club's a mess.
But where are you on Benitez?
Well, I've just said, haven't I? If he doesn't get 6 points next 2 games, he needs to be sacked.
So there you go. I
simple
don't
as that.
think we can be any clearer on that.
I think the club's a joke though. Whole club's a joke, top to bottom. Yeah. And that to me is like, well, do I trust these people at the club? No, I don't trust anyone at the Everton Football Club because they're a farce. Whole club's a farce. I think people, as I said this yesterday. At the beginning of December, people were getting very, very angry about the owner and about Marcel Brands and about Bill Kenwright and about Denise Barrett-Baxendale, and suddenly there's been a shift in narrative that it's all about Rafa Benitez now. That's not true. That's not true. And the people who go to the match, who take those banners, they should have another banner next to it that says for the board as well, because it's not just on them.
On Moshiri as well.
The manager is
given a free.
Well, he is the board though. He is the board because he makes the decisions. He is the board. That the board are nonsense. He makes the decisions. Is Graham Sharp deciding anything? No, he makes the decisions to this football club. Simple as that. And Evertonians in the last few weeks have drifted off that and allowed. Benitez is not a scapegoat. Don't get me wrong, but he has always got to be part of the conversation about why Everton are in the position they are. The board and Moshiri have to always be in the conversation, because the minute you let the conversation just be about Benitez, then what's the point? Benitez gets the sack, and then what? We bring someone else in, and he has to face the same problems of a really poorly run football club. Yes, Benitez's tactics are dross. The football is dross. Not having 3 midfielders is dross. Not having defenders who can win a simple header from a set piece. But we can't get away from that narrative. Or we have got away from that narrative, that it's there's loads more going on at this football club. And that has to stay at the forefront of the conversation. It has to.
Simon Jordan's had this say on Luca Dean.
You know what he does?
Says he's told him to zip it. He said, while blowing kisses at Everton fans, making sure that as much of the adversity he can pile on Rafa Benitez, while saying he's not prepared to do that because it's beneath him, he precisely goes and does that. I wouldn't bring Rafa Benitez into a club, but you've got him there. You've got to say that he's the guy you're going to back. He said, I find players like that aren't just a problem in one area. They become a problem somewhere else.
Fair enough.
And he's been in football, so he knows how divisive it can be. But this is it, isn't it? There's problems. There seems to be problems in different areas with the football club. Steve Williams says we're too easy to play against. Obvious point, like. You're right. Mike Cosgrove says, Baz, you'll be watching more of the Championship next season. I hope not, mate.
Be on quest.
Richie Dean says, what hurts and makes it worse is that Dean has gone to play for Gerrard. Do you understand, lads? To him, you're not bothered. Is he not going to go on up and play for him because he's the Liverpool manager?
Well, he actually said the opposite. He said I came here to play for him. That's what he said.
Oh, that's it, isn't it? Because he's probably enthusiastic. Mike also says, I see the former Barcelona technical director link. Oh, that's good. About the only other club in Europe in a worse financial mess than we are, with an equally awful recruitment
Do you know
policy.
what though? I read the piece about Barcelona before, and I finally found out how they're allowed to spend money. And basically, they had a loan that basically £1 billion had to be paid this year, and now they've refinanced it, and they're going to pay it over 10 years. And that basically means that's why they've got money now.
Okay. So, Jez says Moshiri is clearly detached from the club and mostly interested in building a new stadium as some sort of iconic shrine. Given that and Benitez being an unlovable stubborn fish, it's hard to give a shiny shite about how things happening right now. P.S. I have a massive hangover from my work event and this is not helping. Not so Pervalaki says Spurs fans calling Daniel Levy out as a cancer at the heart of their club today. They need to walk a mile in our shoes.
Sorry, I've just received an email. It's just... Sorry, it's hilarious. You'll find out in about 8 minutes why. It's so funny.
Don't tell me.
Other people mightn't find it as funny as me, but I think that's hilarious.
There you go.
Oh.
Where are we? Yeah.
Hey, from a club with communication problems. Oh, that's made me laugh.
Scouser on the Whittle says blaming the manager is an easy cop-out. The players need to get up for games each week and not wait just for a derby, and then don't give up. Don't give
I
it
think
up
they were up for the derby.
for the other 36 games.
The only
played.
game they were up for was the Arsenal game and the Spurs in the second half.
Merisman says, rotten from the core, no player wants to play for the bad due to this. John Mack says, I'll play Gordon as number 10 when Richie's back. Where are we here? Liam says, think we played our best football under Martinez, to be honest. I don't. I think that's a myth as well.
First year,
I think the first season we were good because he had a hybrid.
Yeah.
I actually think Moyes' 06 to 09 was as good as anything Martinez produced.
Moyes in his last season.
Brilliant. And Moyes in his last season, we were really good. Martinez' first season was good, but it's because he had the hybrid of the two. When it went pure Martinez, the next two seasons, we were terrible.
Never go pure Martinez.
No. And we had, when you go back to that team, we had some brilliant players in that side, and we were 11th, twice on the run, with a 25-goal striker up front. It was grim. Mr. Time, and this is the problem, isn't it? Mr. Time says, if we start protesting about Moshiri, could he cancel the stadium? And I think that's what people are scared of. That's why people haven't gone full in.
No, because I think...
Full in on Moshiri.
The point being is, the stadium's his investment. The stadium is the thing that puts the value of the club through the roof that he sells the club for.
Yeah.
What's he going to do? How's he going to turn around if he doesn't build a stadium? If anyone came in, what would he do? They'd have to, you go, can you sell me this club that's in debt? He'd lose money on what he paid for Everton if he didn't have a stadium. It's as simple as that at the moment. For me, I think he has to finish the stadium to make money on the club. So I don't really buy into that as such, because Goodison Park, there's this thing I keep on seeing. I seen it yesterday in a comment on one of the video we put out, the stadium video, going, just stay Goodison. It's like, what are you talking about? How long do you honestly think Goodison is going to go for? And how long do you think Everton as a club can go for with a stadium like that? It can't.
Everyone's leaving us behind as it is.
Yeah.
Carla says Benitez doesn't help himself because he's so stubborn. It's like he doesn't see what we do. Of course, he's not the only problem, but he doesn't help himself. Absolutely, Carla. Jeff says we beat Arsenal, drew at Chelsea because the players performed, but they let us down in the games we should win.
Concentration.
Big time Charlie.
Manchester United got a draw, Spurs got a draw, these so-called big clubs. Why? Because I think they were switched on. They were switched on, and there was almost that idea of where we've got to knuckle down today, whereas against other clubs, it's oozy-ozy. They come out and it's like, and we've seen how we start games first 20 minutes. We allowed the opposition to dominate the game. If anyone's ever been to a football game in their lives and watched the team for the first 20 minutes dominate and get ahead the steam up, you normally know how it's going to go for the rest of the game. The other team can't get back into it unless there's like Saturday, there's a difference in quality and they allow you back into it. And that's one of them.
Starts every game, suits him. Every single game. Simon says we're crying out for someone to sort out the squad, weed out the weak mentality and replace with hard-working players. Benitez seems to be doing that, but his negative tactics are killing us.
I've just worked out why our home record is so bad this year, over last year.
Go on.
We need to get the opposition team back in the changes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Too comfortable.
Too comfortable.
Get them back in that little tight
They get
thing,
to go over in the corner.
They're
all that. They don't come down the little narrow.
No.
There's no intimidation of their
cars.
cars. That's the problem. Need to get them back in there.
Keith Lynch says, asked this early, you're the main Everton channel. Can't you approach our club and ask for a member of the board to come on and answer a few concerns?
No.
They just go into it. There's not a chance.
The problem
they don't give you anything.
I'll tell you this right now. How do you approach them? How do you speak to them? How do you get an email to them? How do you... I'm not being funny, right? You want to try and get anything off them, you've got to email someone, and then they pass the email on to somebody else who then claims that the person you need to deal with was the person who had the email in the first place. And then they go, oh, no, it wasn't me. That's not my job anymore. Well, it is my job, but I've also got another job. But I've also got another job. You need to speak to somebody else. And then they say, oh, no, that's not my job. That's so-and-so's job. But it says it's your job. Yeah, but I've just got a new job. That's Everton for you. Everyone's got 3 jobs and no jobs. Rant over.
There you go. And Human says, I'm an Evertonian from India. Since the Moyes days, I can say with pride the Moyes days were the best for me. The team had a spirit which led me to become a fan of our great club. Yeah, mate, exactly. Daniel O'Connor, Villa are much better. I mean, they're not bigger than Everton, are they? Not in any universe, so see you later.
Is that a Villa fan or an Everton fan? If it's a Villa fan, that's fair enough.
Yeah, you're always fair,
you're always going to think
the
that.
reality is they're not bigger than Everton. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, Harry says, I proper hate our club at the moment, boys. A proper shambles. Rafa out, Moshiri out. Yeah. Oh, well, let's see what happens. There's not really much we can do right now, is it? There you go. We'll be back on Patreon at 5 o'clock.
We will.
With our live show. Make sure you hit the like button.
Make sure you come
900 odd watching.
Make sure you come over to Patreon.
Subscribe as well.
We're going to be doing, because Norwich played last night, we're going to be doing the match preview in a minute live over on Patreon as well. Baz didn't even know that.
I didn't even know that bombs.
Just drop that bomb. We're going to do it live in a minute on Patreon.
But hit that subscribe button right now.
Because they
should have got the like button.
They should have got it yesterday, because they always get it day before, but they didn't, because Norwich were playing last night, and because we're professionals, got to wait.
There you go.
There you go. Thanks for watching.
See you later.
Bye.